Yuma's probably, that's a shrug, move on, and try to win the rest of the matches.
Alrighty, we still have one more game to show you, everybody. We're going to check out Austin Bursavich versus Corey Burkhart. Golgari Food versus Rakdos Arcanist. Let's jump into this one. We are joining them in progress. It's game number 3. So let's see who picks up the victory.
And we see the timer already on Austin's side, so clearly this has been a grind. And if you know anything about Corey Burkhart likes to play some grindy decks as well up against Golgari Food. So can imagine this is a bit of a slow one.
Well, this is a very nice looking hand here, I must say.
Yeah.
Colony Garden, Witch's Oven, Cauldron Familiar, heck yeah, on the other side of things. 2 Hive of the Eye Tyrants, Haunted Bridge, and plenty to do. Young Pyromancer? Yeah, we're just going to make a whole bunch of little elementals. Seems good.
And I'd love for anyone to name a more iconic duo than Colligan's Command and Corey Burkhart. A Grixis Master has been playing that card for a very, very long time.
Well, let's get the game underway. It's going to be the Spikefield Cave down first and foremost. Hive of the Eye Tyrant down here for Austin. And we're going to see the Cauldron Familiar, who could have potentially died to a Spikefield Hazard, but no risk of that right now.
I was going to say the exact same thing, trying to play around Spikefield Hazard, losing that to that powerful removal spell and never getting him back. Would have been pretty detrimental here to Austin's hand, but decides to, say no problem and cast it anyways.
Yep. So the follow-up turn here, Witch's Oven, there is a Colony Garden. It's going to be Bosaiju who endures, so I'm guessing we're going to see a kitty cat sacrificed to a Deadly Dispute, get a treasure, get some more cards. I'm going to do it right now, which I'm totally cool with.
Absolutely. Maybe not the ideal cards there. Probably don't want to waste that treasure for... Never mind. I'll take that back.
I was wondering if we're going to see bone shards there on that Young Pyromancer, because if that thing gets going... I mean, okay, sure, there's a Meat Hook Massacre, never mind. If that thing gets going, it's better for Austin.
Yeah. We'll both take back the statements that we were going to make there. We'll pretend that turn didn't happen, and we'll go on with the match. Yep.
Ooh-wee.
Colligan's Command is a pretty impressive card against these food decks, though. Even just being able to kill a goose and kill an oven, pretty valuable stuff. The one thing about these Golgari food decks, though, is they make such great value of Lurrus that where if you ever lose a permanent within the first 2 or 3 turns, you kind of shift gears immediately to thinking like, okay, maybe I should aggressively buy Lurrus on turn 3, so then on turn 4 you can go Lurrus plus thing, and then it's like that removal spell didn't really matter, which we might see here.
Big draw here for Austin. Finds a Trail of Crumbs with a 3rd land that comes in untapped, so Cauldron Familiar can come on back. We'll dodge that Cling to Dust that's in Corey's hand.
Yeah.
And gets to look for more goodies. Ooh, there we go. Witch's Oven. Lovely.
Yeah, really heads up play there from Austin, just because even if you sacrifice the food to Cauldron Familiar, the ability goes on the stack, but the cat stays in the graveyard, so Austin would get that trigger still from Trail of Crumbs, but would not get the cat back immediately.
Yep. So where to from here? 3 lands, a Cling to Dust, which has no good targets right now, and a Soul Guide Lantern, which can draw a card. But yeah, this isn't looking so hot here for Corey, who's just going to swing on in.
Yeah, not a very good hand for Corey at all here. It's like you got to play something, but you run into that dance, feel like, okay, we know Austin has a ton of Meat Hook Massacre. In fact, 4, which you're probably not taking any of them out. But do you just play nothing here? Probably not. Yeah, so I guess you just start with Lantern. Maybe you just sacrifice Lantern right away, since you already have Cling to try to deal with Cauldron Familiar.
I mean, that's a possibility here.
Yeah.
Something to do would be nice for Corey Burkhart. Just get the 1 exile. Doesn't really matter what it is, and get this tap land down. It's a 2nd copy of Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Takanuma, Abandoned Mire, is the card drawn here for Austin, who's going to look to Colony Garden to make a little 0/1 green plants, just a good extra blocker, as well as a sack outlet, either for a Deadly Dispute, Bone Shards, or just to make some food.
Yeah, and a big update here for the League Players World Championship race. Austin's in 12th, but he's one of those players that's tied at 66 points, and there's a plethora of them. I think 7 of them that are tied there. So Austin is theoretically at that threshold where Andre Strosky makes it to the World Championship. Now, still, the tiebreakers are low for his scenario, but still, you win a couple matches, all of a sudden you could be above that pack pretty easily.
Seasoned Pyromancer. Hey, it's something to do.
That's a
Ditch
big
a couple
one.
lands. Don't get the little elemental bros, but, you know, get some more cards here.
And that's the number one reason why Rakdos Arcanist decks are no longer Lurrus decks. They were for a couple of set championships, but Seasoned Pyromancer being added into Historic is a huge reason to not do that, because we don't see this play come up in this game. But turn 3 Seasoned Pyromancer, discarding Kroxa and something else to get yourself some 1/1s, and then be able to bring Kroxa back next turn is an extremely powerful play.
Yeah, it's pretty gross if you ask me. And here we'll see a little plant jump in front of the Pyromancer, soak up some of that damage. Deadly Dispute sacrifices to find some goodies. Oh, hi. Unlicensed Hearst and another Colony Garden. Those are good.
Yeah, Unlicensed Hearst, a really good card, kind of against both decks, to be honest. You know, I think that might be one of the standout cards here in Historic, at least when it comes to the new ones. You know, Unlicensed Hearst and Ledger Shredder definitely fighting for that spot as the new additions from Streets
Oh yeah,
of Capenna.
Ledger Shredder. I mean, I've heard some people calling for its ban already. It's that good, but you know you're doing something right when people want you banned after like 2 weeks.
Or it's just a Magic cards. That's one of the two tests. You know that.
True. Is it a Magic card? Yes. Is it legal? Yes. Ban.
People might ask for it. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so just big things here for Corey, as it does look like we're going to see the Seasoned Pyromancer come on down.
Yeah, now the question is, what do you want to discard? Do you want to try to make sure you have land 5 to be able to activate Hive at some point? Or do you want to try to get another creature here? An additional 1/1 isn't the biggest deal, so we'll probably just see those 2 lands go away.
Ooh.
Okay.
Not too shabby. Chandra's nice.
Yeah, Chandra is nice. So now we might see this scenario come up where Inquisition is basically 100% reserved for when Austin puts Lurrus into hand. You know, we've seen that in other formats in the past that play Lurrus and Hand Disruption, where you just kind of wait for that because it's so powerful. And if you make them discard a Meat Hook Massacre or something, yeah, they can just bring it back when they get Lurrus. But we will see.
Kitty Cat's
decides
gone.
to hold it. Yeah, impressive.
Managed to nick the kitty cat there. Had 2 ways to get rid of it, but no food on the battlefield for Austin meant that that cat was going one way or another. And now Meat Hook Massacre is going to say adios, muchachos, to these 3 critters on the battlefield. And there is nothing that Corey can do about it.
Yeah, not really. Meat Hook Massacre, this just has to be one of the best, if not the best Meat Hook Massacre deck, you know, in the format, in any format right now. It's so incredible with this deck to be able to double trigger your Cauldron Familiars. Yeah, it's really brutal.
Oh man, getting rid of Seasoned Pyromancer as well, so that won't be coming back later. Cling to Dust has no target currently for Corey Burkhart. Does have a Chandra Torch of Defiance that can come down.
And Chandra's okay. You know, it's a start, but not amazing.
I wonder if we'll just see this on his own graveyard just to get a card.
Especially with Unlicensed Hearst, as long as that Hearst is tapped, you gotta at least just use it. You know, like it's not getting too much better.
Otherwise, you're in danger. I like Austin putting the stops on the different steps just to, you know, make it look like he's got something going, but doesn't have any mana open right now, so that would give it away.
Yeah.
Oh, another Meat Hook Massacre. Very nice.
And Bone Shards is really awesome here at just being able to deal with Chandra straight away. You know, discard a card, sacrifice a creature. Don't really have an extra creature laying around. But I think Colony Garden going to the graveyard to deal with Chandra is very important.
Oh, yeah. 100%. That Chandra can just get so much value. It can do so much damage over time. I wouldn't be surprised to see that being the option here. And I'm wondering if Austin smells a hand disruption spell, because I think the other consideration here for him might be lures to hand, and then let's see where we go from there. But yeah, you don't want to lose your companion to a disruption spell.
And that's why I think it was very heads-up play for Corey holding off with that Inquisition, because that is really how this game can just be flipped around. Even if there's not a huge graveyard present right now, eventually you're going to draw something that you can sack to the oven and then bring back every turn and gain a lot of value. But as it stands, Corey Burkhart really has the graveyard under lock, and really the only thing that Corey doesn't have under lock right now is just Trail of Crumbs, naturally sacrificing food, paying 3 mana the good old-fashioned way, and then paying 1 to draw a card.
Dreadhorde Arcanist does have an attack here, but what does he want to go for first? Inquisition of Kozilek, perhaps?
Yeah, and now one thing that if Dreadhorde Arcanist attacks, whatever it targets, the hearse is going to be pointing at that real quick.
Yep. It's like, oh, hey, what you looking at there, bud? No, you don't get that. Now, he could cast that in response.
I think there was only 5 total cards, right?
Yeah,
I think you need
have enough.
6 total, yeah.
Correct.
So that's gone, and now it's the question of what's your follow-up? And Corey doesn't have a great answer. The one other really big thing that we haven't really talked about so far is check out the clocks on the players, especially Austin's. You know, that is a serious way for Corey to win, is just play defensive, have Austin time out, because while Golgari Food is an extremely resilient deck and an extremely powerful one, it doesn't close the door very fast.
It doesn't, but there is that Hive of the Eye Tyrant that I keep eyeing out. That
yeah, there. I was just gonna say, why not sack that food at end step? But Austin, I think, did my job for me there.
Yep, just missed it. But does get the life, does get a land off the top, and finds another oven, but not much to do with it, unfortunately. So it's just gonna be another turn of sit back, relax, and chew on some graveyards.
Great discipline from Austin there to not use that 3 mana that he's not going to be using for anything else. I guess he is going to sack this, so I lied. He will be using that mana, but even if to not buy Lurrus there to make it susceptible is a heads-up play by him.
Yeah. He does have some ways to get stuff out of the graveyard. Takanuma Myers' channel ability can do that. But for now, he's just content with digging through the library, trying to find some action, not finding anything but land at the moment, which kind of sucks, to put it bluntly.
Yep. And we did see the block on Dreadhorde Arcanist there with the plant and then sacrificed. And while that is usually the technically correct play, it did not prevent any damage. Yeah.
Trample. It's a fun thing. So let's see what Lurrus is going to grab here. There
Which
is
nothing.
the Fatal Passage on the other side there to get Revolt on the Fatal Push.
Yep, you get Revolt there. I was going to be curious to see if Austin crewed up the hearse, and then if Fatal Push went on the hearse, could have replayed it post-combat, but decides not to.
In response, we'll see a sacrifice on the Nightmare Kitty Cat. More things in the bin here for the hearse to grab. Another Dreadhorde Arcanist, another Inquisition of Kozilek. He's just hanging on to that for dear life.
Yep. This Golgari food deck can be a little frustrating when you're really low on time, because there's just a lot of clicks you have to do, you know, so it becomes very tricky.
Yep. Plenty clicks to do. And we might even see Austin just, you know, pass through the turn if he's got nothing going for him. But a second copy of Meathook Massacre will deal with both of these Dreadhorde Arcanists, and I wonder if Corey will be kicking himself, being like, yeah, I could have probably saved these guys.
Yeah. At this point, what are you saving Inquisition for? Because Lurrus, all that stuff is already really out. So, yeah, I'm with you. I guess you're saving it for Seasoned Pyromancer, to discard it to that and get a 1/1, I guess. But, yeah, I agree. I think I would have fired that one off.
Unlicensed Hearse gets a couple more buddies in the car, so he's now hauling 10 people around with him. That's probably illegal in many states. And both players kind of have nothing going right now except for these creature lands. Hive of the Eye Tyrants on either side. We're going to chow on some food, dig through the deck, and see if we can find a not land, please, library.
Yeah, talk about carpooling, huh?
Yes. Or it's dead bodies. It is a hearse after all. But now we're going to see Hive of the Eye Tyrant tick up and get rocking here. It's going to crew the unlicensed hearse that's sitting at a chunky 10. And I think one of these hives is going to jump in the way here.
Yeah, and maybe Corey's whole thought process here is to hold the card in hand just so maybe Austin doesn't attack for a few turns, which translates to a few more minutes, which maybe will give Corey the win. I mean, it's definitely the case now when you know there's no cards in hand.
Yeah.
Might as well just say go.
Passage, Lee. Okay, both libraries misbehaving here quite a bit, as we're going to switch perspectives here, rocking on with Corey Burkhart, who is looking down the barrel of an unlicensed hearse as it stands, but with double trail of crumbs, 2 minutes and 44 seconds on the clock. Austin needs to get this game over and done with.
Yeah, this is plenty of time too, so this should be all good for Austin.
All right. Yeah, just smack those lands and kill a goose, get some chunky things on the board, make the crew size big enough, and smack some stuff here for 10. So
yeah, here comes 13. Here comes 13 because of the hive as well. So that hive doesn't really change the clock. Corey's hive already had to jump in front of unlicensed hearse.
Yep. So Corey is on a wing and a prayer here right now. Needs a way to deal with this unlicensed hearse.
Yep. Seasoned Pyromancer would probably be Corey's best draw to maybe buy another turn, but that's really where we're at this point already. It's buying another turn.
Yeah, for sure. He's just trying not to lose here, not trying to win.
Yep.
So let's see what the top of the library has for one Corey Burkhart in round number 6 here of the New Capenna Championship. What is it? Oh, it's Chandra.
Chandra, okay.
Does that help at all?
Yeah, the best Corey B in Magic, looking like not really gonna get it done here.
You want to play with fire, huh? This'll be easy.
It's a land at the top of the library. That's not gonna cut it. So 2 to the dome. A good game from Corey Burkhart. And the big ol' hearse is gonna get the game done here. Let's just Thoughtseize to make sure the coast is clear. Just make sure we're not getting debated, right? And
yeah,
in for the win.
GG.
The GG. Yeah, you're fine. It's totally safe.
Yeah, and then Fatal Push, that's no good.
Woo! That was a grindy matchup. Congratulations to Austin.